Human and demon, feudal era and present day, peace and war, joy and sorrow, dreams and reality, a double-edged bloodline, one moment and an eternity. It's time for an Inulysis. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Today we will talk about Does Sesshomaru Care? I will present a collection of information from official sources and afterwards I will ask for your thoughts. So here we go. About Inuyasha's father, the Inu no Taisho in Inuyasha White Edition, number 17 extras. Rumiko Takahashi says, as I thought the episodes telling stories from the past don't go well with Inuyasha, I didn't draw that. I think Inuyasha was his favorite son since he inherited Tessaiga. I suppose that a half-demon Inuyasha is weaker than Sesshomaru, and that's why he thought of leaving him a bigger inheritance. We can say Sesshomaru wasn't treated very well by him, but in the end it was adequate because that way I could draw Sesshomaru's real power. According to Animage magazine, May 2021 interview with Katsuyuki Sumisawa, why is Sesshomaru so cold to his daughters? Just as a lion drops its cub into the bottomless ravine, a demon's feeling is that they only raise a child that gains strength from hardship, that is, the right of courage and cowardice. It's a little different from the feeling we humans have. That's why hating his daughters or purposely tormenting them is certainly not the case. Question. Although, isn't separating the babies from their mother immediately after birth or having them fight the strongest beast king of the eastern land, Maru, a little too much? Answer. If you watch the kabuki play Renjishi, I think you will get it immediately. Anime is fine, but I would like to recommend the traditional arts that have ceaselessly been passed down since ancient Japanese times. Even if going to see them is difficult, researching on the internet is easy. Even the phrase right of courage and cowardice will show up there. It seems that in this world there is no people who love their children more than the Japanese people. Perhaps that's why it can't be helped that the way Sesshomaru is raising his children feels very cold. However, those who watched the Inuyasha series I think will know, but Sesshomaru's hearing and smells are exceedingly exceptional. He has the ability to immediately rush in, no matter how far the distance. In Yashahime, the second act summary translated by Marusama. Despite being half-demons, Towa, Setsuna, and Moroha give an excellent performance, and Maru gets serious. At this battle, Setsuna is defeated by Maru. Sesshomaru appears in front of Towa, who is deeply lamenting what happened, gives her Tenseiga and asks, will you give it a try? However, Tenseiga's blade, which is known as a healing sword that can save 100 lives in a single stroke, is broken. In Animage October 2021, interview with director Hishida, he says, then regarding Sesshomaru in this current work, I felt he's a father. I bet in his own way, as a father, he wonders how to interact with his daughters. Even while carrying out a strict trial of courage and cowardice, he still concerns himself with his daughters, which I feel is a little human-like. I'm also a father of 2 girls, so I can relate to him somewhat. In the last scene of the first chapter, he purposefully hands over a broken Tenseiga to Toa, but he wouldn't do that if he didn't care about them. He just gives a pass like, do something about it with this. And I think that is also a form of training in a sense. In the Mantan Web interview, Hanyo Yashahime inherits the world of Inuyasha, but it's a new story where Sesshomaru and his daughters and Inuyasha's daughters are the stars. The characters that appeared in Inuyasha have changed. What is symbolic is Sesshomaru, who became a father in the second chapter. There's a scene that depicts a brief glimpse of Sesshomaru's fatherly side. Actually, I do my best not to have not show Sesshomaru's fatherly face as much as possible because it's Sesshomaru. Towa and Setsuna are half-demons born between him and Rin, and he's not the typical father. Even if he does have love for his daughter, Sesshomaru won't show it. However, during recording, Narita Ken-san, who plays Sesshomaru, would always ooze affection in his acting. And we would have to do a retake like, please have more restraint. I truly feel bad for Narita-san. While I do want to have everyone listen to Sesshomaru's affectionate voice, I want to place importance on Sesshomaru's way of raising children. And in It describes Sesshomaru as holding Toa as a shown glimpse of shown a shown glimpse of fatherly love in Animedia November 2021 issue about episode 25 when he puts his hand on Toa and Setsuna's cheeks. And then he also holds Toa. In the official Yashahime guidebook interview with Narita Ken, it asks, please tell us what your impression on was when you first read the script. And he said, when I learned that Sesshomaru's children would be the protagonists this time from reading the script, I had a strong feeling of why. Perhaps having children didn't connect well with the Sesshomaru inside of me from the time of Inuyasha. However, that in itself is a fun new development, so I thought I would take on the challenge. And then they ask, how did it feel to play Sesshomaru for the first time in a while? And he answers, Sesshomaru's position in Hanyo no Yashahime is that of a father, so it felt like I was acting Sesshomaru that came to a separate world that was different from the world of Inuyasha. However, while remembering Sesshomaru up to this point, I thought about all sorts of things while putting in the effort, such as if he's a parent, he would interact with his daughters like this, or even if there is love, he also possesses cruelty and cold-heartedness, so perhaps he's experimenting with his daughters in order to learn what he wants. Then we got 2 more questions that he answered. Please tell us the scene from the first chapter that left an impression on you. The scene where Sesshomaru hands Tenseiga to Toa. He says Toa's name for the first time with, shall you give it a try, Toa? I wanted to bring out something in between passion and calmness. So even when I got the okay, I recorded it multiple times. And then, please give a message to everyone who is looking forward to the upcoming broadcast. He answers with, there may or may not be a scene in the second chapter where you will get a glance of Sesshomaru's parental love towards Toa and Setsuna. Please look forward to the second chapter including that. And so that was just more of a nod towards what was to happen in the second chapter, which I already had addressed. But I just thought of putting in his also interpretation that he talks about like the old Sesshomaru and how he changed over time and stuff like that. So I read off basically as much as I could remember to list off at the time. So what does everyone else think about Sesshomaru caring in Yashahime?
I think it's more like the way Mufasa cares for Simba. He let Simba make mistakes, yet it was hard. It was more of a teaching moment. But Mufasa was so called semi-distant from Simba.
Mm-hmm. And
Very similar to that.
that's another reason why I also mentioned the white edition was because Rumiko talked about how Taisho sort of favored Inuyasha, maybe because he was weaker, although some people might not fully agree with that and stuff like that, but that she needed a reason for Sesshomaru's to get stronger in his development, and so she put that as the possible reason that Taisho seemed to have favored Inuyasha over Sesshomaru in that regards.
Although I do want to see more of Sesshomaru's backstory because we learned little to nothing of his raising, how him and his father interacted until what we saw in, like, say, the third movie,
Yeah,
and maybe it was passed through.
and
But we know little to nothing about
yeah,
Sesshomaru's childhood.
that's literally like the only information that I have at the moment that talks about how Sesshomaru was raised was that it was almost like Taisho kind of like neglected him to get him stronger, and that she felt like it's like I needed a reason for him to get stronger, even though this sounds kind of weird. And
Aw,
not
poor
not
Seshi.
everyone's gonna fully agree with that either, but that's just the information that I had, so I had read that off.
Makes
Okay,
sense.
so what's Lawless gonna
I
talk about?
personally, I personally think that there's a lot of clues in the series completely that kind of give us an idea of Sesshomaru and his ideas about being a father and his upbringing. It seems like he was definitely neglected and left to his own devices, and he saw his father being strong and always fighting. And then he thought that his only purpose in life was power because that's all he saw his father do. It's like when a kid sees like their father's back and they're, they admire them and they want to be as strong as them or stronger. But now I think Sesshomaru didn't agree with the way his father, left him to his own devices and forced him into a life of self-discovery because he went down a bad path in the end. So I think that he wants his daughters to also go through self-discovery, but at the same time, he wants to watch them more closely and be there at those moments when they need him the most.
And that's something that a lot of people miss, is that when some people forget about Sesshomaru's development, they automatically think of the Sesshomaru when he was trying to conquest for Tessaiga. Like, they think that it's all just like a ploy made up so he can get back at Inuyasha or some shit, but that's not how he really is, and that's not what his development shows, especially in Yashahime. So clearly all the interviews that are sourced, it all says that he does care. So anyone that thinks otherwise, I'm so sorry, but you're wrong.
Yay!
And so also there was a comment from Rachel as well, so I will go and read that off because she could not make it, unfortunately. I'm gonna pull that up. I should have had that up already. That's my mistake.
That's fine.
Okay. Rachel Colazo. I know her name is spelled like it's probably Raquel, but I think it is Rachel, so I'm gonna hope that I said that right. And she said, "My 2 cents, Sesshomaru cares, but does not have the emotional intelligence nor the interpersonal skills to express emotions freely. However, while his actions don't always clearly show this intention, he cares. He cared enough to trap Inuyasha and Kagome in the Black Pearl, to take his girls to the forest to hide them, to give Towa the Tenseiga to save Setsuna, to protect Moroha and retrieve the Black Pearl from Kirinmaru, to have Jokin show Moroha's development to Inukage, to give Setsuna tips while she trained and lived with Shiori, and more. He cares, but doesn't know how to show it or how to rely on others. I think it's a part of his upbringing had to do with his mother's personality, his personal obsessions with being the strongest and surpassing his father in strength, but not being like him in character." So what do you guys have to think about that?
I do. I have.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think
But
she did a really good job breaking down, like, it's obvious that he does care, and if he didn't care, these are the reasons why. And that is like,
yeah,
that's like,
he
that
definitely
is like
cares.
literally the most boiled down and factual information without diving into the interviews, like, that someone could just shove into another person's face. It's like, yes, he does care, and here's the reason why. I think that she did a really good job with that.
Yeah,
Although,
he doesn't care with words. He cares with actions. He shows his love by doing, and he's doing the best that he can. So I think that that shows a lot of love and care right there.
And
although what you said about Inuyasha, what you said about him taking them away from Ren when they were young, people like to say that he did it out of selfishness, but it was more the fact that he was trying to protect them because Zero sent a demon after them to kill them. He really did, he cared enough to take them away to safety versus leaving them there to die. His actions are mainly of talking from somebody who did go through physical abuse, not physical, mental abuse. He is showing love in his own way. Love is shown in many different ways, and he's showing it through touch.
and
Like I say,
Yeah, you're
sorry.
right. And also, like what Katsuyuki said, is that Sesshomaru has an excellent sense of smell and hearing, and had something happen to them, then he would be right there.
Oh yeah.
Jokin was there with Aun, that all happened. They all checked up on him to get them out. Jokin put up a barrier, said he would raise them in Rin's place. They all obviously care for each other.
I do feel really deep sympathy for Ren because she really wants to be with her daughters, and the fact that she can't hold them until like maybe the next couple episodes is completely killing me.
I know. That moment will happen, I promise. That there will be that special moment.
Although I do feel sorry for Sesshomaru. I mean, he really did look up towards his father, and I can't imagine Inutasho abusing Sesshomaru in any way. He seemed a very like a caring person. That's what kind of when they said that, it kind of like shocked me because it's like by personality, what we have seen, he's very caring.
Yeah, so that's why it's almost like the upbringing of the twins could be a little bit of a reflection of how Taisho um was trying to get Sesshomaru stronger, even though it might be more blunt, like the way Rumiko said it, that it sounded
Yeah.
almost like an excuse for a reason as to why to make Sesshomaru stronger, but that we do see more of Taisho's character, and that she does say that in the end, he has a good heart, that Taisho does have a good heart.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Although there is a saying, my adopted mother who passed away said, mothers are given babies to care and coddle, when men are giving children to help raise for adulthood. In other words, women are given reason why women are given children is to like, baby them and stuff. But men are given children to lead and raise. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it says the story of Inuyasha's father revolves around the fact that Inuyasha is a half demon. His mother had to be a human, and I wanted his father to be a very powerful demon. That's why I created him as a great demon who ruled over the Western lands. At the end, I only drew him alive once, in his dog demon form, but I never showed his human appearance. Anyway, I'm satisfied because in the animated movie, Swords of an Honorable Ruler, I could see him alive with his human appearance. I also saw Inuyasha's mother alive, and I liked that. His father was from the western lands, but he faced Ryokotse. That's why I think he even reached Musashi. It sounds bad, but it's similar to a conflict of power between the Yakuza. If he finds someone with power, he will clash with them. However, I consider him to be a protector of humans, and Ryokotse was just a violent guy. That is to say, he wasn't just an energetic demon, I think he was a powerful demon with a big heart. So it says, Taisho does have a big heart, but he's also a demon. So him being a demon, he will clash with people who are also powerful, and he it's like a yakuza. And honestly, there's another anime called Nura Rise of the Yokai Clan, and actually in the Nura data book with that mangaka, he full on straight says that his series is about yokai yakuza. So that's kind of cool what I thought about though. So that's kind of the aspect as to why Taisho is somewhat similar to Kirinmaru, being also a demon, but Taisho does have a big heart.
Oh
He's a
yeah, the
demon,
fact.
but he does have a big heart. And they do think differently than humans.
Although at the end of that one episode when they defeated the Grim Comet, the fact that Kiyomaru fell asleep was hilarious.
And okay, I do have a comment from Marie Avery.
Mm.
She's not here right now, so I thought she was going to join in, but I'm going to go ahead and read her comment. And she says, if Sesshomaru didn't care, he would have helped Kirinmaru find Akuru, let Zero have the twins, let Kirinmaru kill Kagome and Inuyasha, and let Rin finally freaking die. So yeah, he cares. Not everyone needs to be visually or vocally emotional to show they care. His actions have always spoke louder than his words. If he wanted someone dead, then they would be dead, and if he wanted to protect or save someone, then they would be protected and saved. Then I do have another comment that says, I believe he cares, but he has seen the consequences of human-demon relationships and the dangers of being a half-demon. I think he's trying to approach everything opposite of what people would expect so he can get everyone out of the situation with the least amount of opinions and interference. He's definitely a type of a type A alpha wolf, do not question my authority type of individual. That's pretty funny that the way that they worded that.
I thought.
They said that they weren't able to make it. Cortavia. I hope I said that their names right. So those three people, they couldn't make it. So I figured, I would go ahead and read off their comments for them. And actually, that brought up something that I didn't mention before, was one big indicator off the top of my head, just by looking, that Sesshomaru cares, is actually Jokin, and Jokin is Sesshomaru's emotional interpreter. So that's a big big indicator why Sesshomaru does care. So, Jokin knows exactly how Sesshomaru is feeling, and so when after the battle with Maru, Sesshomaru fought Maru in the first act, the twins were down on the ground, and Jokin's like, Sesshomaru-sama! And he was looking at the twins, and Sesshomaru also takes a glance at the twins too, and then he looks at Jokin, and he's like, don't say it, like, don't say anything,
Yeah,
but
he
he
was
does
gonna
care.
run for them.
Like, that's a big indicator, as is, because Rumiko flat out said on her Twitter, she says that she created Jokin to be his interpreter, anything that, for the most part, that Jokin is feeling is actually how Sesshomaru is feeling.
Well, they're connected.
Yeah, they are connected.
I believe that one website, the yokai website that you guys were talking about, they do talk Shomer is, and they said among the pack, Inugames, or I think that's the same creature I'm talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong. They have some type of bond of, I won't say mind, but telekinesis in other ways, and they can communicate throughout the pack like that.
That's interesting.
Now, maybe
I think that the way that Sesshomaru communicates is without words, but through physical action in his eyes.
Yes.
I think that that's also a big indicator as why when Sesshomaru's Haku was taken away, his eyes were black, and people were confused as to why. And I said that there's something symbolic about his eyes being black, and it's because there's a saying, and the saying is that the eyes are the windows to the soul.
To be honest, I thought Kirimo stole his eyes to see Aku. I think that's how you say the spirit's name. But when they said, "Oh no, he's really weak," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, he's
really weak.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, somebody was confused with that though.
But the big hug will happen. There's gonna be a special, reunion with Sesshomaru, Rin, and the twins. And so, in regards to Does Sesshomaru Care, the podcast, is there anything else you guys want to have to say? Oh, okay. There's one person just showed up.
I do want to say something.
Okay.
I was thinking a lot about how Rin, she changed Sesshomaru so much, but because of everything that happened, like with Zero, I think that really impacted how he would be as a father, because I think he would have been a totally different parent, because Rin could have shown him the way to raise a parent, like the way to raise a child, half human, or, just how to love a child the way she would. And he would mirror that, and he would, develop that same emotion, because he learned to open his heart and all his emotions from her. And when, she was in the tree, he didn't know really what to do. He was basically on his own trying to figure it out and do it in his own way completely.
Oh no, I completely agree. Ren definitely definitely did change him. And I definitely believe that Sesshomaru tried his best on way she will have wanted it. Because Sesshomaru by nature is not emotional. It's not who he is. He can't act upon something he's not. But how many times I will tell people this? His eyes betrayed his actions. When he was physically worried about Sessuna, you could have seen it in his eyes.
Yes.
He's more of a type.
Yes, and even the second act summary that I read off, it says that he deeply lamented what happened to Setsuna.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Of course he did.
I mean,
And
he was physically angry at Kirimaru when he got back to Pearl. When Kirimaru called them brats, that noise he made, he was completely annoyed. It's like, how dare you call my girls brats?
yeah, and Sesshomaru loves Toa and Setsuna just like he does love Moroha. He does.
Yeah, he's proud of his little niece.
Hmm.
He's a proud uncle. I can see that in him.
Yeah.
I mean, he even stopped. I have noticed when he's called Inuyasha half breed, when he called girls, he never used that phrase anymore. Never once did he call them half breeds. Because he does actually, these are his girls.
Yes.
Now, emotionally, I remember when he's alone, he's a total different person.
And they're a very traditional samurai type of family, and just like Katsuyuki said, that it's very old traditional Japanese parental love teachings based on the Renjishi. So knowing this and understanding the culture, it's also something to be mindful of when people talk about does the Sesshomaru care. So it's a very cultural thing as well.
But yeah, the way we Americans see it is him being cold and heartless.
But
But
that's
that's
not
not
the case.
this
Yeah.
is a total different culture. This is a total different culture that we, as Americans, don't really understand. He does care. I even got the sense when he told the girls for the first time. He definitely does care.
Yeah, you can see it in his face, in his eyes when he would look at the twins.
He
All
could
right.
not stop looking at.
So, is there anything else we would like to say before we end this?
Sesshomaru definitely is. I agree on this. He is tough starved, but in all what he went through with all his family, he finally accepted Inuyasha as his brother. He finally settled down and had family with Ren. He cares for Ren just as much as he cares for the girls. I mean, as equal term. Excuse me. And there's no doubt in my mind is I'm waiting just for the couple of episodes where after Ren told Tessuna and Toa, let us give you a big hug. I want to see Sesshomaru definitely hug them.
And that
And
is
he
something to definitely look forward to. All right, thanks everyone for coming.
You're welcome.
Be sure to subscribe and follow me on social media to get the latest announcements and news about Inuyasha and Yashahime. We will definitely be following up on any translations, interviews, episode summaries, and cast lists as the episodes release. Stay tuned!